seemingly moving in their direction. They decided to go for it on 4th and 2, were stopped by the Browns, and then the Browns in the last possession of the first half took it in to increase their lead to 13.
Yeah, to stop Franco Harris, Bob Golick made the big play, and then finally Ricky Feacher, who has been standing wide open all first half. You see Sipe looking to his left. Feacher is back there like a spectator. Finally located by Brian Sipe, and once again an excellent throw by Sipe. A good touch on the ball over Dwayne Woodruff, number 49's arms, and into Feacher's hands, and big points at the end of the first half.
And the way things are going right now, it appears that Buffalo is going to lose against Atlanta, and that will uncomplicate things considerably. If Cleveland can win today, then all they do is sit down, watch TV, hope New England beats Seattle. Seattle would be out. New England and Cleveland would be tied. The tiebreaker would belong to the Browns. They'd go to the playoffs. And we'll come back after these messages and a word from your local station. We return to Cleveland. Bob Costas along with Bob Trumpy. A look at the halftime statistics. The first downs are even. The yards rushing are fairly close, but look what Brian Sipe's been able to do through the air. That's the difference.
The Steelers have had problems establishing anything today, Bob. Of course, that big play to Rocky Belk kind of set the tone, and then the field position at the end of the first half, getting the ball at the 50-yard line and getting 7 points on the board for Cleveland, very important.
The turnovers are even, and that's important for the Browns too. Like most teams, when they've been able to protect the ball well, they've won. As simple as that. In their 8 victories, they are +9 on the so-called giveaway takeaway table. In their 7 losses, they're -16. When they've been careless with the football, or if you want to look at it this way, when the other defense has been so aggressive that they've taken it away, that's been the Browns' undoing, including last week at Houston.
You're right, and I'm sure all Browns fans are saying, why couldn't we have played this way 2 weeks ago against Denver or last week against Houston? The emotion, for the most part, in this first half has been on the side of the Cleveland Browns. They have played very good emotional football. Psychologically, Cleveland's got to feel very good.
Sam Ratigliano has put it this way. He says, I'd like to have a team so talented that we can play less than our best and still find a way to win. But we can't. We have to hit on all cylinders in order to win.
Sam's got some pressure on him here, too. A lot of people in Cleveland say, look, after every big game, Sam has got an excuse. But we keep losing those big games. I think he's a wonderful coach. He's got an awful lot out of this football team when you consider that Brian Sipe throughout this season has been negotiating with the United States Football League, and there have been various other problems on this team. I think that he's done an excellent job in getting this team up.
I think all he tries to do, Trump, is put things in perspective. Just because he doesn't treat every football game like it's a high mass doesn't mean that he doesn't want to win it as much as the next guy. He's just able to see it in the overview.
Yeah, I suppose when the Cleveland Browns win, Sam has a good handle on things. And to the fans, when the Cleveland Browns lose, he's unrealistic, or he doesn't care that much, as you said, that he has other priorities. So I'm not sure you can please everybody. You mentioned Chuck Noll and the fact that he is not a household word. Are you aware that that's by choice?
Oh, yes.
Chuck Noll's choice?
Oh, yes.
He wants all the attention to the players, and he has handled his team even better than Sam Ratigliano's handled the Browns. He is, without question, in my estimation, the coach of the year in the NFL. He's done a marvelous job this year.
His club already in, as we mentioned. We'll repeat it in case you're just joining us. They'll have a first-round bye in the playoffs. If they can rally, however, and win here, and if the Raiders should lose at home against San Diego, an unlikely Quinella, we grant you, but it could happen.
Quinella?
If it does, you like that.
Isn't that a trifecta?
No, no. Quinella is 2 and a trifecta is 3. Anyway, if that should happen, then Pittsburgh would profit by gaining a home field advantage over every other AFC playoff team except Miami. Steve Cox kicks off to start the second half. And Henry Odom will bring it back. And Odom struggles to about the 23-yard line. We're told that Frank Pollard of the Steelers, Tim Harris, who returns kicks for them, and linebacker Lauren Taves, all injured during the first half, will definitely not play in the second half.
Well, they'll have 2 weeks to recover, and of course Bradshaw has not taken the field with or without the Meineberg treatment. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have never played a playoff game without Terry Bradshaw at quarterback.
And he'll be ready, they think, when the playoffs start. With the bye next week and not playing this week, It amounts to 3 more weeks rest for that ailing elbow. Abercrombie carries, and Abercrombie bursts for the first down. A gain of 11.
That's that weak side long trap. An excellent job.
You know, I'm shocked, Trump. Well, we'll look at the replay first.
Abercrombie has got great speed. Once again, watch the pulling guard coming this way. It's Corson 77. He's on 50 Cousineau. And you see Abercrombie set up that block and then read the defensive man's head, cut back inside. Big pickup for Pittsburgh. Good start for the second half.
They trail 23-10. Stoudt. Dropped by Abercrombie. I started to say that I'm quite surprised that Raja the minor bird was unable to turn the trick for Terry Bradshaw this week. I mean, after all, here is a bird insured for some $12 million by Lloyd's of London, a track record, according to its owner, of almost unparalleled success in healing athletic injuries and reversing bad luck. And Raja sat on Terry's arm for a week, and he still couldn't play today. So the bird is in a slump. Intercepted. Gross, who picked one off earlier, was staring at 6 points.
Cleveland going back to their approach that they had early in the first half, and that is plenty of pressure on Cliff Stoudt. Banks blitz, strong safety blitz. Watch the pressure in Stout's face. There it comes, Banks. Ooh, that's very close. Benny Cunningham, the intended receiver. Now Gross in there to break it up.
So 3rd and 10 from the 33. What was it that Terry said? I'm going to put him on top of my head, let him sit there, and maybe my hair will grow back. There's Bradshaw with Mark Malone, the 3rd string quarterback, alongside him. The catch is made by Hawthorne, but he is stopped short of the first down despite that last-second lunge. Mike Whitwell, the free safety, makes the tackle.
Blitz again by the Cleveland Browns. Now here's a tough choice for Chuck Noll. Opening drive of the second half. Do you have enough faith in your offense to get less than a yard on 4th down? This is where the coaches make the big money.
Cliff Stoudt has pleaded with Chuck Noll to simplify the Steeler game plan. They did it last week because Bradshaw was the starter and Terry didn't have time to learn all the plays, and Stoudt felt that when he came into the game after Terry was hurt, the simplified game plan helped him. That's how much they're short by.
And the punting team does come on for Pittsburgh. Bradshaw's one of those guys, that performance last year, that's the stuff that legends are made of. 30 years from now, there'll be people in Pittsburgh saying, I watched Terry Bradshaw, after not playing for the entire year, come in and beat the New York Jets.
And another legend of the coaching variety, Chuck Noll. Dino Hall awaits the Colquitt kick.
Good one.
Drives him back near the 10. A flag goes down, and so does Hall at the 14.
It's going to be an illegal block in the back.
Well, let me tell you something. Art McNally, who is the very excellent supervisor of officials in the National Football League, he called us during the first half, and he told us that only 1 out of about every 20 kicks involves an illegal push in the back. If that's the case, we have had every one of those this year in games we have broadcast, and the other 19 have been broadcast by somebody else.
We at least have 2 weeks worth today. That's going to be on Larry Brazil, 47. Dino Hall.
Illegal block, number 47, receiving team.
Wait a minute. Hey, who's that guy playing for? 94, Elvis Franks, trying to tackle Dino Hall.
Well, he knew he was about to be smacked by Mike Merriweather, so Franks did Hall a favor by putting him down a bit more gently.
I knew it was something.
Impressive figures for Sipe in the first half, and none picked off. He's had 6 intercepted in each of the last 2 games he's played against Pittsburgh. Boyce Green is the single setback. Mike Pruitt has played on only 1 Browns possession in the game so far. Green got about 4.
It may be the effects of Mike Pruitt's back spasms this week. But Boyce Green, the last time they played the Pittsburgh Steelers, had an outstanding performance. 137 yards rushing. Must be conservative here against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is a turnover defense.
It has been that all year long, a big play defense for Pittsburgh. Ozzie Newsome makes the catch. That's his first of the game and extends his streak, a Cleveland Browns record already, to 66 consecutive games with a reception.
In the offensive line, let's watch the offensive right tackle, Cody Reason. He never gets a lot of press, but he's against a good pass rusher. And Keith Willis does an excellent job with the help from Joe D. Gives Sipe time to get the ball to Ozzie Newsome.
It's 3rd down 3. That catch for Newsome, number 348 for his career in 6 seasons. He's already established a Cleveland Brown record, moving past the previous mark of 331, held by Gary Collins. They got the first down with the catch made by Bobby Jones. Jones, one of the few NFL players who did not attend college. He was pumping gas when he was picked up as a free agent and brought into the league, so they're fond of saying that he's from Texaco Tech.
Big catch there for a first down. Big cushion by the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive backs. Too much of a cushion.
23-yard line. Green gets outside. Well, this youngster is impressive, isn't he, Trump?
Yes. Great ability to bounce outside. You liken him to the ability of Franco Harris. Watch the way he recognizes immediately that it's stacked up in there and is able to bounce and accelerate. Nice little fancy move here. Gives him a few more yards. Sam said earlier in the season that they felt that he was going to be next in a long line of great Cleveland Browns running backs. He's just got to wait his turn.
There's a Steeler player down in front of the Cleveland bench, and although we can't see clearly, I think it's the free safety Rick Woods. And it is.
Now the Steelers today have had their injury problems. Recount that again. We've got like 3 on the sideline now with Woods down.
While they tend to him, we'll take this break. And an indication of the high regard in which the Pittsburgh Steelers are held here in Cleveland. Their banner is burned and then stomped upon. Woods walked off under his own power. And from just across the 35, a Cleveland first down. Sipe pumps once, then goes sideline, and Newsome has another reception.
Several times we've seen Brian Sipe pump fake, and it's affected the Pittsburgh Steelers a great deal today. Watch Robin Cole, number 56, Newsome underneath him. Now watch him read Brian Sipe's eyes. It dropped back a little too deep. Ball thrown underneath. Great coverage by our cameraman. That's something that they've exposed here on Pittsburgh's defense that you don't generally see.
Gain of 5. We mentioned earlier that Ozzie Newsome has gone past Gary Collins' Cleveland receiving record. Collins had some glorious days in this ballpark, especially the 1964 championship game against Baltimore. Here's Boyce Green. He swarmed under for a loss on that day against the Colts. Gary Collins caught 3 touchdown passes in the NFL title game from Frank Ryan.
Mike Merriweather, 57, does an excellent job of stringing the play out. Then Jack Lambert with Dwayne Woodruff, 49, there to finish up. That weak side sweep didn't work at all.
Has the movement to the 3-4, making him one of 2 inside backers as opposed to the lone middle linebacker, affected Lambert, Trump?
He has more responsibility now as a linebacker, and he can't move around and freelance as much as he used to behind the steel curtain. still plays the spot very well, though, Bob.
Sipe needs 7. He's well protected. Incomplete. Bobby Jones made a valiant try.
Harvey Clayton in coverage, and Sipe has had good time to throw the football. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming into this ball game were a bunch of sacking people, but so far today, Sipe has avoided that big pass rush.
Bunch of sacking people.
Absolutely. And strike terror in the hearts of quarterbacks, opposing quarterbacks, but not today.
With Rick Woods shaken up, Paul Scansey, who has returned punts at various times this year for the Steelers, drops back in anticipation of the Gossett kick.
Oh, shame.
Off the side of his foot and bouncing out of bounds around the 38-yard line of Pittsburgh.
I'll tell you, it's very difficult to stand on the sideline when it's bitterly cold like it is today and then go out there and punt or place kick. I'm not sure Gossett was really warmed up enough.
Gossett's first punt went 25. This one just 24. In 1980, and he threw for 310 yards in that performance, although the Browns won it 27-26.
Oh.
Benny Cunningham had it for a moment. It was jarred loose.
Should have been caught. Let's watch Tom Cousineau, leading tackler on the Cleveland Browns. You see his right hand rather heavily bandaged. Tore up his little finger last week in front of both Cousineau and Eddie Johnson. The ball should have been caught.
You think he'll never make the Pro Bowl?
It's going to be a long time for him to live up to that $700,000 a year salary in the minds of the players that vote for the Pro Bowl team.
You saw Baltimore with the lead on Houston, but more importantly, Kansas City clobbering Denver. Franco. There's nowhere to go except out of bounds. So you think the natural resentment among other players creates a situation where Cousineau practically has to be Superman before anybody would vote for him?
Absolutely. And I've heard comments from other players. Look at this guy. He's not worth $700,000.
Well, in fact, that's true. That's why he only gets $500,000.
Well, whatever it is, it's about 3 times more than anybody else at that position in the league. Jack Lambert makes about half that much. Has been to 4 Super Bowls and won all 4. It's going to be tough for Cousineau to really get the respect of his fellow players in the NFL.
Well, he can console himself with the cash. 3rd and a bunch. They need 16. And Stoudt is sandwiched and dropped. The 3rd Cleveland sack, and it's Reggie Camp who's celebrating.
And Bob, I'll tell you something that Cleveland has done. Stoudt is down. Cleveland is keeping Chip Banks 56 at the line of scrimmage for one purpose, and that is to make sure that Cliff Stoudt doesn't run the football. They're blitzing him a little bit, but as you can see here, they're just good coverage down the field. Stout's got no one to throw it to, and it turns out to be a sack for Cleveland.
Colquitt will kick to Hall with 9:15 to play in the 3rd quarter. 23-10 Cleveland. Another good kick by Colquitt. Hall comes back the other way and squirts through a tiny hole across midfield. Robin Cole made the tackle. Hall brought the kick back 14 yards to set the Browns up just inside midfield. The Steelers have their starting cornerbacks, Dwayne Woodruff and Mel Blount, out again, and Sam Washington and Harvey Clayton are in, and neither Woodruff nor Blount is hurt. So Chuck Noll is just conserving his squad for the playoffs, and Sam Ratigliano is just hoping that his team will be there.
Bob, I guess right now that I'd put it up here if I were the Cleveland Browns and Brian Sipe.
Boyce Green, single setback, no action for Pruitt in the 2nd half. On the tight end around, it's Harry Holt, and it doesn't work for much. A gain of 4. Holt is a tight end, but with wide receiver speed. Here's the 2nd half of the doubleheader. San Diego and the Raiders. If Pittsburgh should lose this game, then the Raiders really have no incentive in their game against San Diego. New England and Seattle, of course, are battling for their lives. If Seattle wins it, they're definitely in the playoffs. If Cleveland wins here, then New England is out. But they could spoil things for the Seahawks with a win. Hoist Green finds the going tough.
Pittsburgh tackling the football.
The Rams and New Orleans locked in mortal combat. The winner will have a chance. Come on, you can't take this stuff too seriously. Atlanta is putting the final nail in Buffalo's coffin.
Oh, that's 2.
And Cleveland is prevailing here. 3rd down 4. 7:35 to play 3rd quarter. Sipe has time, and he's got a target. The catch is made by Ozzie Newsome. Quiet during the first half, but 3 receptions here in the 3rd quarter. This one good for 13 yards.
That's exactly what the Cleveland offense wanted. Linebacker coverage on Ozzie Newsome. It happened to be Merriweather. You'll watch Brian Sipe from behind the offensive line of scrimmage. Good pass protection up front. And that's just what they're looking for. Linebacker on tight end. Tight ends are supposed to win those battles. That ball was well thrown by Brian Sipe.
If Newsome catches 2 more, he will have 90 receptions for the year, and that hasn't been done very often in the entire history of professional football. Hoist Green to the 25-yard line. Gary Dunn on the tackle.
Ball was loose.
That's a gain of 4. The all-time record for receptions in a single pro football season. Charlie Hennigan for Houston in the old AFL in 1964, 101. Lionel Taylor had an even 100 for Denver in the early 60s. Johnny Morris with the Bears in 1964, actually the only time it's been done in the NFL, had 93. And Taylor again had 92 in the first year of the AFL, 1960.
It was a little tough to see, but it appeared that someone had hold of the face mask or the side of the helmet of Boyce Green. Now, I'm not sure we'll be able to pick this up. This is a good sweep, and Green is right there behind Jackson. It does appear he gets spun around there. I can't really tell if there's a hand on a face mask or the side of the helmet, but he is hanging on to his knee. They're checking his right leg there. He's had 12 rushes for 63 yards and been the big man for Cleveland today. Although there's nothing really wrong with Mike Pruitt coming in as his replacement. Let's see from another angle. You'll see a defensive back come in here from the right and hit him right on the knee. Well, it just looks like he twisted his knee. Oh, it looks serious, and the ball did appear to be loose. Carried off the field. Obviously can't put his weight on it. We hope the best for him.
We'll get a report as soon as possible.
How you doing?
There's the history of this series. One of the most heated rivalries in the league. The Browns lead overall, but as far as the present players on the field are concerned, in recent history, it's been a Steeler-dominated series. Motion along the line, whistles, and they won't complete the play.
That's going to be on the quarterback. That's on Brian Sipe, a head bob.
Is that what they'll call it? The illegal head bob?
Well, yes.
Quarterback.
Watch his head. When he moves his head sharply back to the center, that's when they threw the flag, and it was on Brian Sipe. You see those quarterbacks there, their voice goes up about 9 octaves on that third hut, and safeties are jumping off sides.
With Green out, Mike Pruitt has returned. Ball back at the 30. Second down and 11. 5:50 to play, third quarter. Cleveland leads by 13. Sipe tucks it in. Still can't find anybody. He threw it short, and Donnie Shell is there to pick it off.
Here we go on the sideline again.
It's Keith Gary, I think, in the middle of it for Pittsburgh.
And now all the Pittsburgh Steelers are coming to the sideline. You mentioned earlier that the officials did want to keep this game under control. Now the question is, was it before or after the interception? After the interception. Oh, there you see the hit. We'll see the hit. Jack Lambert on Brian Sipe. And that's why the Cleveland bench erupted. Watch Jack Lambert, 58. He'll come to the sideline. Watch this hit, and it's right in front of Sam Rutigliano.
Hello. Let's watch it from a different angle, Trump.
Brian Sipe is down, and you'll see him scramble to this side of the picture. Lambert in your picture. There's the hit. But it appears that the interception will stand. Lambert looks hurt now.
He hasn't come away from too many collisions limping, but he's shaken up as well as Sipe. There's Shell just barely in bounds, picking it off.
Well done. Feature was open.
That's a flagrant personal foul. 50 out. He's out of the ball game.
Oh.
Lambert ejected. Now that ought to satisfy the Cleveland bench.
And the interception will stand. They call it a late hit? Or do they call it a hit to the head?
Well, since Sipe is leaving the league, in all likelihood, Lambert wanted to make sure that he left him with something to remember him by.
No, we don't want this to get out of hand. Doug Deacon, 73 of the Cleveland Browns, appeared to be the first one to the defense of Brian Sipe at the Cleveland Brown bench. There you see 73 on Jack Lambert. It now appears that the Browns fans at the right end zone are throwing things at the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is unfortunate.
Now they're trying to sort out where the ball should be placed. The foul took place after Sipe had released the ball. There's no question about that. At the moment, the football is resting at the 30-yard line, which was the line of scrimmage on the last play.
Well, we'll see what happens here, whether or not the interception stands. Actually, the hit took place before the interception happened. You could see before the ball was caught by Donnie Shell that there was, in fact, the infraction. So if that's the case, they get the ball back and they tack on 15 yards. Browns keep the ball, Bob.
And if they do, we'll see Paul McDonald at quarterback.
He's already in there, and they're walking off the penalty. This is the second time that Jack Lambert has been thrown out of a football game here in Cleveland.
Here's Ben Drive to explain it all.
Cleveland ball, first down.
A rather succinct explanation after all that.
Yes, there was a 15-yard penalty.
And McDonald, who from all reports will be the starting quarterback here beginning next year, takes over for the injured Sipe at the Pittsburgh 15. The give is to Pruitt. And he bangs in there for perhaps 3. 5.5 minutes to play in the quarter.
Brian Sipe coming back on the field. If this is his swan song, this may be a curtain call.
Now there's another Brown down after this last play.
'68, Robert Jackson.
The left guard. There have been bodies strewn all over the field today. Steelers lost 3 players to injury in the first half. Tim Harris, Frank Pollard, and Lauren Taves. Lambert has been ejected. Boyce Green was helped off a moment ago. Sipe went out for a play.
The doctor out there looking at Robert Jackson. Here's they're calling for the stretcher.
We'll be back to tell you about his condition in just a minute.
This is the leg of Robert Jackson. They have the stretcher out for him. You know, it's strange that Cleveland Browns lost Charles White in a very similar situation. He was simply blocking and everybody piled up on top of him.
That's crazy.
Just as he was hit by a teammate in that pileup from one side, he was bent back the other way by a completely incidental, certainly not a vicious hit, by a Pittsburgh Steeler. And we'll await for the official word from the sideline with regard to his condition.
What are they doing there? It appears they're putting something on his leg, Bob.
The Browns team physician, Dr. John Bergfeld, along with trainer Leo Murphy, are out there. Murphy has been with this team since 1950, the year they joined the NFL from the old All-America Conference. We'll take a look at the scoreboard. The Rams maintaining that lead in the fourth quarter over New Orleans, 16-14. Atlanta with the lead by 17 over Buffalo, same as it was last time we checked. Kansas City just putting it to Denver, 38-3.
Wow.
Now, as I understand it, if Seattle wins today, they would get home field advantage in a wild card game against Denver. However, if Cleveland is the wild card, despite Denver's defeat today, apparent defeat, Denver would have home field in the first round wild card game against Cleveland, by virtue of the fact that Denver beat the Browns there a few weeks ago. You know, the St. Louis Cardinals aren't a bad team. They have closed the season very strong. They beat the Raiders last week. Evidently, they'll wind up 8-7-1 after a 1-5 start. Their misfortune, of course, is to be in the NFC East, where they have to contend with the Redskins and the Cowboys. That's 4 losses right off the bat.
It's no fun.
Couple more. Baltimore leads Houston at halftime 10-3. And Green Bay and Chicago remain tied in the third quarter, 23-10 Cleveland.
This is tough. You can't fault anybody for this situation. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah, they've got one of those air splints on his right leg. You see the blue thing on his right leg? Put that around the leg and blow air into it, and it immediately becomes a splint.
So play resumes with 2nd and 6 from the 11. And Sipe. Pass interference. Feacher was tripped up by Clayton. And the Browns will have 1st and goal.
Actually, it's pretty good coverage by Clayton. The ball thrown over the receiver's head, and you see their feet just kind of tangle a little bit. And whether it's interference or not, that call always seems to go in favor of the receiver.
So now with the ball down at the 1, Johnny Davis, a big, strong fullback type and a good blocker, joins Pruitt in the Browns backfield. Here's Pruitt.
No.
Not much at all.
We have a camera attached to the goalpost at this end. This is from right behind Jack Lambert. Good job by the Steeler defensive line, standing up those offensive linemen, taking away any penetration by Mike Pruitt and also by Johnny Davis. There's the camera.
So 2nd and goal from the 1. 4:30 to play 3rd quarter. They fake it to Pruitt. Sipe rolls, and there's his 4th touchdown pass. Harry Holt hauled it in.
Good rollout by Brian Sipe here. First play, he sets up, dive in the middle. Holt just across the goal line. 6 points, Cleveland.
Talk about making the most out of your receptions. Holt has caught 2 passes in this game for a net of 4 yards, but both of them for touchdowns. Bahr for the PAT, and it's perfect. So Cleveland goes in front by a score of 30-10.
Tough situation for Chuck Noll and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They wanted to come into this game. That's Boyce Green going into the locker room. Hopefully we'll have a report for you. At least he was under his own power, not on a stretcher. I'm sure Chuck Noll wanted to rest as many people as he possibly could for the playoffs, not jeopardize their chance in the playoff, but he didn't want to be on the short end of a 30-10 score.
At this point, you'd have to look toward 2 plays as being key in this game. The 4th down where they didn't make it, where Pittsburgh didn't make it near midfield at the end of the 2nd quarter, and Cleveland took it from there on the final possession of the half to a touchdown that built a 16-10 lead up to 23-10, and then the Donnie Shell interception, which was negated by the personal foul against Jack Lambert when he hit Brian Sipe late. Lambert was ejected instead of Steeler ball. The Browns retained possession and got it at the 15 of Pittsburgh and took it in to increase their lead to 20. Lambert is a spectator from this point on in. Cox to kick. Odom has trouble with it and gets back to the 25. Second half of the NBC doubleheader coming up. The Chargers and the Raiders. Even if Pittsburgh loses here, so the Raiders have no incentive with regard to the playoffs, it could be an aerial show when those 2 teams get together. And New England and Seattle with the wild card berth on the line.
And that could be 3 yards in a cloud of dust for those 2 teams.
Except there's no dust in the Kingdome.
You understand what I mean, though?
Of course.
Both teams run it a great deal. They're dropping like flies. Bingham to the sideline.
They will need an extra page at least for the injury list after this game. 4:10 to play in the 3rd. Stoudt wants it all. Sweeney over his head. Single coverage. Hanford Dixon was on him.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not about to give up easy. They're going to keep firing it up there and hoping for the best.
On the last Cleveland scoring drive, they took over after a Dino Hall punt return at the 49-yard line of the Steelers. They went 49 yards, obviously, for the touchdown, 30 of those yards on penalties against the Steelers. Again. Franco Harris makes the catch. And Franco is down at the 34-yard line.
See the snow falling a little more here lakeside at Cleveland. But it's not an uncomfortable day to play football. If you're playing, standing on the sideline, it's very uncomfortable.
I'd like to see his tailor. Not what you'd call form-fitting attire. Third down 1. Franco. That carry is going to give him about 37 or 38 yards for the day. And now with Pittsburgh down 20 points, I wonder whether Franco will get the 49 yards he needs today to reach 1,000 for the season, which would give him a record 8 times doing it.
He needs 49, does he not, Bob?
Yeah.
Now the plays are called from the sideline. We'll find out.
2:50 remaining, third quarter. Stoudt couldn't get away. 4th sack. Clay Matthews, who leads the team in sacks, gets credit for that one. It's been a problem for Cleveland. When linebackers are your leading sackers, as is the case for the Browns, you're just not getting that consistent pass rush from the defensive line.
They have stayed consistent today, though. Outside backers rushing the quarterback, and they've one maintained good pressure on Stoudt. 2 got to him several times.
Some snow flurries now in Cleveland. Stoudt can't get away again. That's the 5th sack. Elvis Franks.
This game is so emotional. In the previous 2 weeks, of course, away from home, I think Sam Ratigliano expected this kind of performance out of his team. You see Frank's good pressure on Tunç Ilkin. Manages to get to Stoudt. And again, 57, Clay Matthews, linebacker blitz in there also. Six defensive backs now by the Cleveland Browns.
It's 3rd and 29. They give it to Franco, and that fooled absolutely nobody. Bob Golick hit him first.
And Franco may not get his 1,000 yards this year. 125 left.
What a remarkable and durable performer he has been, though. And all the talk about Jimmy Brown returning really has done a disservice to Franco Harris. No one disputes Brown's stature, but neither should anybody try to demean the accomplishments of Harris, one of the greats of all time. This will roll dead at about the 49-yard line of the Browns.
And in conversation with people in Pittsburgh, the best part of Franco Harris is
Colquitt is good for 33 yards with 50 seconds to play in the
last game in Cleveland. Certainly has been a good performance, has it not, Robert?
4 touchdown passes. Here he gives to Pruitt. 2, maybe 3. Pruitt has topped 1,000 yards 4 times in the last 5 seasons. In fairness, it's not the achievement that it once was. You've got 16 games to do it in now.
They will have to run one more play. There are 23 seconds on the game clock and 16 on the 30-second clock. I wonder if Brian will wave goodbye.
Even if they make the playoffs, they can never be at home. So this is the last home game for the Browns this year. The catch is made by Feacher, but there are flags down. Time has expired in the 3rd quarter. Ben Dreif is a hardy soul. No gloves today. This one goes against Cleveland. Back to their 48-yard line.
Illegal motion on the offense.
The wind chill factor, we're told, is officially. We start the fourth quarter in Cleveland. The Browns with the ball and a seemingly comfortable lead. In case you're wondering, with all the complicated NFL tiebreakers, point differential apparently will make no difference in the Browns' playoff prospects. There was one scenario in which it might have, but that's gone by the boards with Buffalo apparently losing to Atlanta. Yes. So the only thing that Cleveland is now concerned with is winning this game and hoping that New England beats Seattle, in which case the Browns are in.
In the trenches, you see Mike Babb and Gary Dunn, 67. Excellent job. Bob, it looks like Mike Pruitt is limping a little bit, and it may be from the back. The problems with his back all week long. Hasn't really been very effective today. As a matter of fact, now in the lineup for the Cleveland Browns replacing Mike Pruitt is Dwight Walker.
Third down and 8. And Sipe's pass is on target, but they'll be just short of the first down. The catch was made by Dwight Walker, as we tell you that today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Kentucky Fried Food.
Yes, it is. Although I've been rather comfortable today, haven't you?
I felt worse. It's 4th and 1.
One thing I'll tell you about these players, Bob, they are at the forefront of the right stuff to wear in cold weather because they must remain limber, and the Browns are wearing something new. It's made out of polypropylene, I believe, and it's flexible and yet adds a great deal of warmth to the body. We used to wear pantyhose. Jumbo petite, generally the size.
Wait a minute, jumbo petite?
Yes, fawn the color.
Isn't
now,
jumbo petite a contradiction in terms?
Well, we're not that big.
13 minutes and 39 seconds remaining in the game. Cleveland in control.
No question, when they get the ball back, you give it to Franco Harris. That record of 8 seasons over 1,000 yards is a very good record to have. That really sets him apart from everybody else in the history of the NFL. And you hate to give away the last quarter of the football game, but you make sure that Franco Harris gets that much coveted record. Another 1,000-yard season.
The Browns go for it on 4th and 1. Pruitt? Ooh, maybe not.
I don't think they got it.
Well, the Steelers will get the ball back, apparently, and Franco needs about 10 yards. 10, 11. To reach 1,000.
That's about as even as you can get, isn't it? Oh, the Browns with 81 yards more total offense. It's been the penalties, as you said, in that last drive, accounting for 30 yards that have really helped Cleveland. Now let's see what their number one priority is here.
Here's Franco. He's got it. He's going to get it with this carry.
Congratulations. That's nice.
Unofficially 15 yards on that carry, over 1,000, 8th time NFL record. Congratulations, Franco.
And he is certainly not hanging on, is he?
Think this guy isn't an asset?
Absolutely. As I remember, do I not remember a quote attributed to Jim Brown that if he were to start an NFL franchise, this was made about 7 or 8 years ago. Jim Brown said that if I were to start an NFL franchise, the first player I'd take would be Franco Harris.
Stoudt to the air, in trouble, gets away and picks up a few yards. The word on Robert Jackson, the Brown lineman injured earlier, a broken ankle.
Here's a Pro Bowler, Mike Webster, against Bob Golick. Two guys of great strength in there to get dirty.
Webster going to the Pro Bowl for the 6th time, but this season as a reserve for the AFC squad. The Dolphins' young Dwight Stevenson will be the starter at center. Abercrombie was the target.
You mentioned Mike Webster. He's never missed a game for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This is 161 straight.
That's hard to imagine, a center. We just saw what happened to Robert Jackson and how offensive linemen at times get stepped on, knocked around. You would certainly expect that he might miss one, but he's the Iron Man of the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line.
How cold does it have to be before he goes to the sweatshirt?
I don't know. He's from Wisconsin. He's a hardy one.
Stoudt under pressure throws for Sweeney, but it's broken up.
That was very close. The defensive back was not looking at all. The ball bounce around there. 57 Matthews, 50 Cousineau. 4th down, and it does appear that the Steelers will go for it.
They have nothing to lose. They need 5 yards. The ball at the 37 of the Browns. 12:38 to play in the game. Cleveland 30. Pittsburgh 10. Chuck Noll's team trailed 23-10 at halftime. Broken up. Mike Whitwell. He's upset that he didn't get the interception, but he did stop the Steeler drive, and the Browns take over.
Bob, the Browns today have done an outstanding job defensively in coverage.
One of the factors we mentioned coming into this game, the big play defense of the Steelers. For example, last week against the Jets, recovered 2 fumbles, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, and the Browns' tendency to turn the ball over. Well, the Browns have turned it over only once today. Another potential turnover was negated when a penalty erased an interception by Donnie Shell. Let's go to New York.
Well, Bob, in Kansas City, Gerald Wilhite's just scored twice for the Broncos, but it's still 41-17 Kansas City. So in the wild card race, it'll either be Denver at Seattle or they'll host Cleveland. It looks like New England is eliminated before their game even begins. Back to Cleveland.
All right, Lenny. So both Denver and Cleveland will be rooting for New England later on today.
Yes. Long trip for nothing for Patriots, is it not?
Pride, Trump, pride. Ozzie Newsome with his 89th catch of the season.
That's amazing. 89 catches for a tight end.
Now New Orleans jumps back in front of the Rams by 1. And the Cardinals close on a high note against Philadelphia. Still a tie in the 4th. The Pack and the Bears. Boyce Green, here's the report on him. A sprained knee, X-ray is negative. So perhaps he can return next week, if there is a next week for Cleveland. Here's Pruitt. He needed only a yard for the first and might have gotten that. Clock running with 10:55 left in the game. Now they stop it. It could be close enough to measure. And it is.
You can see the action here. Very close. Pruitt does hang on to the football. Big stack up. I noticed behind the Pittsburgh bench that Terry Bradshaw is throwing gingerly. Not enough for a first down, though, it doesn't look.
Ooh. Wait a minute.
What?
Rob, they're about 2/10 of an inch short of the first down, and Robin Cole is indicating the distance by holding his arms as far apart as he possibly can.
Must be a fisherman. There's Bradshaw. Let's watch his delivery. Throwing it gently, just exercising the arm. This week in practice for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was a receiver, he was a center, he was an offensive lineman. He is also an inspiration to this football team. Will you be ready in the playoffs, Terry? You bet.
Pruitt and Davis are the backs. Pruitt gets the ball, and his forward progress should give him the first down, but there's a penalty marker on the play.
It's against the Cleveland Browns, so that'll take the choice away. Johnny Davis, illegal procedure. Now they will punt it.
Because words like heroic and inspirational are overused in sports, they lose some of their...
Last week against the New York Jets. Not only what he did individually, but the kind of lift spiritually he gave to the Pittsburgh Steelers is something that's reserved in the history of the NFL for very few people.
There was a team which had lost 3 straight, had been embarrassed on national television.
Illegal motion.
Excuse me, Ben. 45-3 on Thanksgiving Day by the Lions. They were definitely headed in the wrong direction. He may have reversed their entire season in just 1 quarter.
You're right.
Paul Scansey is the deep man. Gossett to kick. 10.5 minutes left. Heavy rush, but he gets it away. Takes a Pittsburgh roll. It's been that kind of day for Gossett. His stats won't look too good when this one's over. National Football League rules require that we present away games starting with the opening kickoff to stations in the team's home area. So viewers in San Diego and Boston will be leaving this game in a few minutes for a telecast involving the Chargers or the Patriots. However, we'll continue to bring you reports on this game to keep you up to date. Miracles, those of you in San Diego and Boston leave us already knowing the winner of this one. That kick by Gossett was good for just 26 yards. And now enter Mark Malone for just the 2nd time all season. And he gives to Abercrombie. And Walter Abercrombie picks up 11 on his first carry. Malone's only previous appearance, a mop-up job in the 4th quarter of that Thanksgiving Day lambasting in Detroit. Malone is in his 4th season out of Arizona State. 6'4", 223. Number 1 pick back in 1980, as I recall. And here's his pass. It wasn't badly thrown, but it bounced off the shoulder of Greg Hawthorne.
The stat I like about Malone is that he's run for 2 touchdowns, caught 1, and thrown for 3.
Triple threat in limited fashion.
You're right. That's not the kind of stat a quarterback wants, but nevertheless, he is considered by the Pittsburgh Steelers one of their gifted athletes. Yeah, Ross Schneiderman, our stat man, just reminded me that Malone's lone catch for a touchdown is a Steeler record of 90 yards. Designated Hail Mary receiver.
The pitch to Franco. Well, he'll lose a couple of yards off that total. Unofficially, he was at 1,004. So back him up to 1,002. Down toward 9 minutes to play in the game. This is 3rd and 11 coming up for the Steelers. 30-10 Cleveland. Malone threw that with some authority for the first down to Sweeney.
He also did something that you really like. He stepped up in that pocket to avoid the rush on the outside. Good sense of the rush.
That's a gain of 17 and a first down at the 39. even though the Steelers, by losing today, lose their chance to gain a home field advantage over the Raiders. The Raiders do want to win their game against San Diego because ultimately, in the final game for the conference championship, the last step before the Super Bowl, they could gain home field over the Dolphins. And of course, New England and Seattle are battling for a wild card. Those are the late games. Not much for Franco. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Clay Matthews on the tackle.
Bob, if there's a defensive player of the game awarded, I'm sure Clay Matthews will get a game ball. He has been all over the place today. Harris, as we've seen for years and years and years, had ability to cut back, but once again, there's 57 Clay Matthews to make the tackle for very little gain.
An explanation here: if the Raiders and the Dolphins wind up with identical records, which they would if the Raiders win, then the Raiders would get somewhere down the road, if they both survive to that point, home field advantage over Miami by virtue of a Monday night victory against the Dolphins earlier this season. Franco.
Matthews again makes him turn in.
And a gain of only a yard as we pause briefly for station identification on the NBC television network.
This is WXFL, Channel 8, Tampa, St. Petersburg.
Franco Harris has earned every one of those 1,000+ yards. His longest runs of the entire season came last week against the Jets, 18 and 19 yards. So he's getting it bit by bit.
That's an excellent throw by Malone, Bob, right on the money. Cunningham did not have to adjust one bit to this reception. The NFL's biggest tight end makes his first catch of the day. Lawrence Johnson, 48, in coverage.
They get 13 to the 24. Now the flurries increase just a bit. Is the target, but the rookie from Penn State couldn't hold on. With 5:47 left, here are the priorities as I see them, Trump. First of all, get it over with nobody else being hurt. Got enough people on the injured list as a result of this game already. Second, it would be nice to see Malone engineer a touchdown drive. Something nice for him to remember from this season. And if the Browns get the ball back, one more reception by Ozzie Newsome would make him only the 4th player in pro football history to catch as many as 90 in a season.
Certainly the first tight end.
Kellen Winslow's come close a couple of times. Yes. I think 89 and 88. Malone throws for 6. But it's intercepted. Picked off by Lawrence Johnson, the left cornerback.
Browns have been there in coverage.
Another look at the interception. Wayne Capers, number 80, is the target. And here is Lawrence Johnson recording his 2nd theft of the season. And the Browns have the ball at the 20.
He showed very good hands there. Essential for a defensive back. Hanford Dixon admits that he doesn't have particularly good hands.
Mike Pruitt. 2, maybe 3. We mentioned Newsome closing in on 90 receptions. He needs one more. Of course, Todd Christensen and Kellen Winslow each have a chance. Christensen with 84 catches, Winslow with 83, and they will play head-to-head. A game that many of you will see as the second half of our NBC doubleheader today.
I think Sam Ratigliano made an outstanding point when it came to Newsome not making the Pro Bowl. The strength of the San Diego Chargers is their receivers. There's no doubt about that with Chandler and Joyner outside of Winslow. The same is true of Christensen with Barnwell and Cliff Branch. But for Ozzie Newsome, he doesn't have that caliber of wide receiver. And still with 90 catches and over 1,000 yards, He should have made the Pro Bowl. There's just no way around it.
Four minutes and 28 seconds remaining here. 30-10. Cleveland leads it. They will be 9-7. Will that be good enough? If New England beats Seattle, it will. If the Seahawks win and grab the final wild card, the Browns will be left to lament several losses in games they felt they could have and should have won.
Correct.
The little swing pass to Mike Pruitt gets the first down, but there are flags on the play.
Going to be encroachment defense. What was your stat about the regular season finale for the Cleveland Browns?
In their last 10 closing games in regular season competition, they're 1-9. The only time they won their last regular season game in the last decade was in 1980, the year they were AFC Central champions. They beat Cincinnati on the season's last day, 27-24.
Penalty is defense encroachment, so it will be a first down for the Cleveland Browns. And at least with the 2 losses in the previous weeks, this will take care of some of the bad taste in the Cleveland Browns fans' mouths, I believe. Some of the pressure will be off this football team.
It's always sweet for them to beat Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes. That might count as 2.
Pruitt. Nice running by Mike. Clock keeps moving. 3:45 left.
Used to play for a coach who used to preach in the last football game when you came off on the sideline, you were injured. He used to say, get back out there. You got 6 months to heal.
It's an enlightened philosophy. Did you enjoy playing for him?
No, we didn't appreciate that very much, but he used it a lot.
Where's he now?
I don't know. It wasn't Paul Brown. It wasn't my professional football coach.
Throw it again.
Once again, that stat on Ozzie Newsome. He has 89 now. Let's get him number 90. Somehow get that message to the bench. Throw a short one. Get him number 90. That's a nice round number.
Hey, Sam, he needs 90. Can you hear us? Scoreboard check. Well, this is a big one here, and it couldn't be closer in the 4th quarter. Try and find out for you how much time is left in that game. Atlanta continues to lead Buffalo, as they have throughout. Kansas City 48, Denver 17.
Bill Kinney is hot, isn't he?
And the Cardinals closing on a high note against the Eagles. Speaking of milestones, as we've mentioned Franco and we have mentioned Ozzie Newsome closing in on 90, I wonder whether the Cardinals put Dan Dierdorf in the game today at right tackle for a few plays. An offensive lineman isn't as famous as a running back or a wide receiver, but Dierdorf might make the Hall of Fame someday, and this is his last game, and he hasn't been playing of late, but I hope they put him in for a few snaps today.
How about Ken Riley? Yesterday, his last game as a Cincinnati Bengal, 2 interceptions.
We've reached the 2-minute warning. Here comes another one of those fantastic finishes. 2 minutes remaining as Jeff Gossett gets set to kick for the Browns. Paul Scanson, who had a 57-yard punt return earlier this year against Tampa Bay, is the deep man. Gossett's season's average has been badly bruised by his performance today. This is probably his best kick. But naturally, the way his luck is going, it takes a Pittsburgh roll.
That's happened on every punt he's had today.
Curtis Weathers downs it, and so the kick with the backward roll covers just 27 yards. Guess what? Another commercial. And his throw is caught by Wayne Capers. There hasn't been anything wrong with a single pass that Malone has thrown today.
He's thrown very well, and this young man, Wayne Capers, 21 yards on the catch. He's a young man that they're counting heavily on. He's just getting back healthy.
Look at it this way. You got
What?
What a way to say goodbye, if this is goodbye for Brian Sipe.
This is exactly the way he orchestrated it. A final now, Kansas City over Denver, 48-17.
Malone has connected on 3 of 6 for 51 yards. He has had 1 intercepted. The 2 others that fell incomplete, however, were dropped. Abercrombie catches this one and is cut down by Rod Perry. Seeing some fourth quarter action.
Obviously, the Cleveland Browns in a prevent defense are going to give up a lot of yards in front of these defensive backs, but let no receiver behind them. Therefore, it's pretty easy to throw the football right now.
Perry, who made that catch, is the same Rod Perry, the veteran from Colorado, who used to play for the Rams. Franco Harris still in the ball game, makes the catch, and stutter steps his way down to about the 32. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Wiseman. The coordinating producer of NBC's football coverage is Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast produced ably by George Finkel, directed by the legendary Harry Coyle. Technical director Steve Semino, associate director, a Cleveland boy, Doug Graber. Our spotters up here in the booth, John Betchkel and Pete Halbin, Don Drabus and Ross Schneiderman handling the statistics. Thank you, fellas.
Will he or won't he leave? Brian Sipe.
It's almost a foregone conclusion that this is it for him.
Yeah.
The question is it all over with this game, which it will be if Seattle wins against New England, or does it continue into the playoffs for Sipe, which will be the case if the Patriots beat Seattle? I'm told that the Rams kicked a field goal with 2 seconds to play against New Orleans and won it 26-24.
Wow.
Two more weeks to rest for that fella. And maybe that's what Raja, the minor bird, needs. He maybe needs a little more time on Terry's arm to get it ready.
Maybe that's it.
Malone flushed out of the pocket. Has to eat it. The 6th sack for the Browns. Let's find out about that Ram-New Orleans game with an update from Len Berman.
All right, Bob.
Turn, Chip Banks just knocked down a Malone pass. 30 seconds remaining in this ball game. When it's over, most of you will see the second half of the doubleheader, either the Chargers and the Raiders or the Patriots and the Seahawks. Trump, I'll catch up with you again someplace where it will be a whole lot warmer. Honolulu for the Hula Bowl.
I'll save you a spot.
Malone fires, and it's caught. It's Garrity who makes the catch, and he's shoved out at the 5 with 20 seconds left.
Oh, Malone has made a very good account of himself today. It's been very tough for him to get into the lineup. He's thrown the ball extremely well. Good protection here. Steps up, then avoids the sack by Camp. He's now 6 of 10, 105 yards. This is right on the money. Laces up on the right foot. You like that?
That was good for what, 38 yards? 38 yards on the play. Steelers have 1 timeout left as they try and punch across a consolation touchdown. Abercrombie had to turn the other way and couldn't quite pull it off with Cousineau on the coverage.
His first poorly thrown pass of the afternoon. That one was behind Abercrombie.
Here in the fourth quarter, Malone has thrown for exactly the same number of yards, 105, as Stoudt threw for in the entire game before he was lifted.
Of course, the difference is Cleveland in a prevent defense. It's going to be a lot easier to throw the ball down the field.
Just a coincidence.
Okay.
Not a judgment on quality.
Okay.
Seattle has an early 3-0 lead at home against New England. Malone to the end zone. Oh, he couldn't hold it. Abercrombie had 3 cracks at it, and in various stages he lost it. 5 seconds left.
Watch how close this is to a reception. Right at us from the camera on the goalpost.
Here's try 1. Well, we'll miss it. He juggled it twice more, and finally it hit the ground.
I like that. There's 1,
2, 3. No.
Just falling away. Couldn't get his hands on the ball. Ball was thrown high, which is the right thing to do in the end zone. Therefore, if it's tipped, it generally goes out of the end zone. You don't turn the ball over.
There's that Seattle victory. Oh, did I say victory? I meant to say lead. I am so sorry, Browns fans.
A little premature.
If it becomes a victory, it'll take some of the joy of this Cleveland win away. But if New England wins, the Browns are in the playoffs. Franco, touchdown. Triple zeros on the scoreboard, and that's a nice way for it to end. A touchdown for Harris, and a touchdown pass for Mark Malone. For Franco Harris, TD number 100. He passed Jim Taylor this year. He trails Don Hudson, Lenny Moore, and Jim Brown, who has the record at 126 on the all-time list.
See the all-out blitz by the Cleveland Browns. Harris just lets the blitzer go by and is there as a pass receiver. 6 points.
2 milestones for Franco, his 8th 1,000-yard season, and touchdown number 100. Anderson's kick flutters through, and the ball game is over. The United States are right here in this stadium. For Bob Trumpet, I'm Bob Costas. Again, the final 30-17, and we'll be back after this.